4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, welcome to the Coaching Game. I'm Laurie Lawson, and tonight my guest is Lynn Berger. Hey, Lynn.
Hi, Laurie.
Thank you for being on. I had Lynn on when I was doing Coach World TV, and that was so many years ago. I don't even know, 5 maybe, a long time ago, 4 years ago. And at that time, she was doing a lot of career. She was a very well-known career counselor and coach, and so that's always in play, and people are always needing that kind of coaching and counseling. So I begged her to come back, and she did. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love being on your show.
Yeah. We usually have fun. Let me just tell you a little bit about Points of View, the coaching game. It's one of the best tools that I've found. It's a series of 65 cards with visual images that seem to just, I don't know if you've worked with visual images, but it just seems to break down one of those walls, and people just relate more to them than words. I guess words are in your mind, and this sort of brings it out. With words and caption, and the whole idea is to bring right brain and left brain thinking together. And so what you're doing, you're on a regular path, and then you're over here, and it's like, oh, okay, I've expanded my awareness, which is great. So what I usually do is ask my guests to pick a few cards, or whatever, however they want to get their message out. And Lynn did, and we may use them and we may not. But what I had said, what do you want to talk about? And she says, you know what I've been working on? Tell them what you've been working on.
Well, I'm always working with my clients on career transition. And what people are finding very helpful is, and all of us get into some sort of slumps. Some are more severe than others.
I've been there.
And I think everyone has. And how to recognize when it's coming, and what you need to do to kind of figure it out, to get out of it. So I think if it's okay with you, I would like to talk about that today, and helping people understand what it is that will make them feel more satisfied and successful and more fulfilled. And when that slump is coming, how to identify what's in the way.
First of all, I love that. I love that topic. Can you sort of define a slump? Because it's like, every day I feel like, whoa, that's a slump, but then I work my way out. So it's like, we're talking about a little bit more permanent slump, right?
I mean, for some people it's getting going, and for some people it's just not working at all. And, they're at their desk and they're like this, or, it's
kind
just
of like, is it kind of like a writer's block where you say, I'm blocked and I really can't go any further?
No, I think it's more of like just something's missing.
Oh,
You might have identified in the past that you felt things were working better, but something's not right. And you're just kind of trying to figure it out, hopefully before it gets very bad.
Okay. So it's I think, I'm thinking it's that feeling that brought us all to coaching. It's like, there must be a little something more, and I'm not really doing what I should be doing. And that's kind of what everybody I know, that's how they got into coaching. It's like, I want to do a little more.
So you want to be able to feel better about what you're doing and how you're doing it. So, if people can step back and say, something's not right now. What's going on? It's easier to fix it.
Right.
So it's
but
like
it's also harder to
self-diagnosis.
step back when you're in the middle of it. Do you have tricks on how to get out or view it from another perspective, maybe?
Well, I'll talk a little bit about our framework today, and it's always helpful to talk with someone else that can give you some objectivity and perspective.
Coach, of course, right? We're
or
not
a
crazy.
trusted friend, or
Right.
someone you really, a mentor. But, coaches can be the most effective in the sense that it's the most objective.
Yes, fantastic. Okay. So, step 1, where do we go?
Well, let's look at it from the positive side. You want to think about what makes you feel good, fulfilled, and satisfied. And there's things that are going on. One is your work is in line with your interests, which seems so obvious and apparent, but
Not always.
Not always. When you share interests with people in your field, you're happier, you're more productive. So you want to make sure you're still intrigued and interested. You might have been interested before. Maybe you were never interested.
Right. You
to
just
be able
pretended
to
you were interested.
understand
Yes.
that. And also, we all have skills, okay? And some skills you can do with your eyes closed and you don't like them. Some skills you can do and you really love them. And that's where you get the motivation. That's where you get feeling good. That's where you get, quote, in that flow. So you want to identify those motivated skills. What are the skills you like to do and you do well? And a good way to identify them is to think about some accomplishments you've had and what's going on underneath that.
Okay, a couple of things come to mind because I do some mentor coaching, and it's and all schools, all coach training schools tell you you've got to have a niche. You've got to market, directly to.
Right.
And there are always such anxiety-ridden decisions, and I'm going, you know what? Let it be, just whatever feels good to you right now, because it's not written in blood or stone.
Right.
You can change. So what you're saying is, you may have started out and go, oh my God, I love being a financial coach. And it's like, oh, you know what? I can't look at another spreadsheet. I'm going to kill myself. So I love that. So it's a little bit of flexibility is needed, or a little bit of awareness that this can change, or you could be done with this topic, or you want to expand it. There's so many opportunities.
Right, and what can happen is if you are, let's say, for example, you're a good math student at school, and people say, oh, you're really good at math, you're really good at math, you should do something in math.
Exactly.
And like you're constantly, pointed in that direction by, teachers, parents, whatever. And then all of a sudden you turn around one day and say, I don't really like doing that.
Exactly.
But you've been groomed that way because it's something that comes natural.
So someone else could have made the choice for you, or you just said, okay, that's
It's
easy.
easy.
That's how I had a sociology major. My girlfriend said, I think I'm going to major in sociology. I went, okay, me too. That's as much decision as I gave the whole thing.
You need to think I'm that a little more.
Yeah, it's like, what are you going to do after that? It was like, nothing with sociology, but that's okay. I'm sure there were some benefit things. And then another thing you said that I like is that, okay, what do you enjoy doing? I have, and I'm an IPEC grad, and my IPEC trainer was telling me, he's been doing this for, I guess, 15 years, and he said, I love doing the coaching, I love doing the thing, I hate keeping the books, I hate making the content. He said, and one day I said, why don't I get a virtual assistant? And he said it was the most freedom providing decision he'd ever made. It was like, oh my God, I don't have to do this anymore. So that's kind of what you're saying too. Decide what you like to do.
And you do well.
Yes.
Because then magic can happen.
I like to sing, but I don't think I do it well. But
Okay, so you want to think about, as we talked about, your interests. So if your interests are waning, maybe you need to kind of figure a way to fill that in.
Right.
If you're not utilizing those skills that you really like and you do well, you want to think about how you can put those more into your daily work. And then, we all want to be proud of what we do. We all want to have it in line with our priorities. So what's important to you? What is important 5 months ago, 5 years ago,
Just gonna say,
it can change.
It can change, and it should change probably.
And it creeps up on you.
Yes. My last guest on the show said she had a client who decided she was going to do things newly. And I love that word. It's like, do the same thing, but do it differently. And it gives a little bit more stimulation, maybe. Yeah. So it's like, when you're helping your clients, what the first thing to do is acknowledge the slump? I mean, because they could think, I need to quit my job.
Like, it's interesting, I'm wearing gray. It's not black or white. You want to try to think about what subtle changes you can make in your work and your life before you make an extreme decision.
And then you would next hone out, like, okay, here's what's working and here's what isn't.
Right. Well, I'm not done yet because it's interests and motivated skills, your values.
We got pencils out there.
Okay, your priorities, and your personality style, your temperament. We all move through our day in a different way, and for some, sitting behind a computer it's so energizing, and the hours go by, and it's like. And for some that need some more interaction, that's exhausting. So you want your day to be in where you are in your life, and what's your temperament and style.
That is so interesting also, because coaches, and I find that coaches' biggest problems when they get out of coach training is it's like, okay, now you're a business person. I mean, unless you're going to work internally. And it's like the isolation, because you are your everything. You're your business, you
Right.
know. And I've known a couple of people who said, I can't do it. I need to be in a work environment, you know?
Right. Because you have to work on your business rather than, and also in your business when you're on your own.
You have to do everything, yeah. and it takes a while to realize, you know, how you're going to do that. But, okay, carry on.
So I got to my interests, motivated skills, your values, your personality, style, and temperament. So if you can kind of reference those points and see where it's working and where it's not, it could be very helpful.
Okay.
Okay. And you said, you know, you're feeling a little not right. So, I mean, the sooner you can address it, the better you will be.
Right. Well, that's interesting. Could it be a temporary, I just had a fight with my husband?
Oh, we all have our days.
So let it ride for a day or two.
No, and most people, I mean, it takes a while to kind of recognize it.
Yeah. So, all right, you've identified the problem, sorta.
Well, once you can understand what it might be, then you could go about, you know, finding creative ways to brainstorm and make it better.
Okay. Do you have like an example, or you know, like of someone that was doing everything right, but it just wasn't feeling right?
Well, you know, your values shift, and let's say you were at a point in your career where you wanted to move up, and you know, 10 business trips a year was fine, and you loved being all over and being at all these meetings, and your life circumstances change. And you know, it doesn't feel as good anymore.
Yeah.
And that happens, and it can happen both ways.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, like all of a sudden you decide you want to be out more. You want to be, you know, externally driven, and you don't feel the need to be home as much.
Working for the man. Yeah.
Right.
I want to go out and do my own thing. Yeah. Okay. So what do we do?
Well, you need to look at your current situation and see what's working. Okay, maybe you can massage that, or manage that, or change it, or contract it, you know. And or if, you know, 3 out of 4 points are bad or not working for you, then maybe it's time to consider a change.
Wow, a radical change. Do you have like a checklist, or how do you go about it with your clients? It's like okay, if 5 out of these 10 aren't checked, then.
Well, I mean, like anything else, you start with awareness. Okay, awareness of what's working.
Right.
Because we lose sight of that, all of us.
Yes.
And
we also, you know what we also do? We also take for granted.
Yes, until you don't have it, until you're not using it.
Definitely.
So, you know, to start with that, and then to see what's not working and give them an understanding that these are the points that can create fulfillment, and oh wow, you know, I don't believe in this as much anymore. I want to change my schedule. You know, once you begin to understand what it takes for it to work, then you can understand what's not working.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. It's like, yes, I like that, and it's a positive spin.
Well,
it's like,
yes,
let's find out what's the good stuff.
Right, because people, you know, we all
know what we don't want. That's
and
the easiest question to answer.
And we all can get into that, you know.
Yeah.
Not working.
Easiest thing, and I find, you know, that everybody can tell you what they don't want, but if you ask somebody, well, what is it that you want? It's like, oh, wow. You know, and they really have to think about it a while. So that must be a whole skill in itself, just drawing that out of people. I do that. I do a little bit of reinvention, like for retirement people or people who just want to quit their jobs. They've had it, and it's like, well, what turned you on as a child? You know, what is it that you want? No, you may not be able to be in the circus, but what can you do that will create that atmosphere?
Right, to be in an environment of a circus,
you know, chaos and you know, challenges and things like that. So so I see what you're saying. So it's like massage
and try to figure out what's working, what gives you satisfaction, what isn't, and let's figure it out. Is it something that you're really doing things that you don't like to do, or you're doing things that you're not so good, it's too hard every day, or maybe you're doing things that you do well but you don't like.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
It's funny because I'm realizing as you're talking that it's really a balance, because I like to be challenged. I don't want to keep doing, but I'll use this as an example because recently they went digital. I don't even know what that means, but I know I used to have a little DVD, and I would do, and I know how to do all that, and it's like, nope, can't do that anymore. It's like, you need all new equipment. It's like, so I immediately said, well, you know what, maybe I'm tired of doing this show. And it had nothing to do with that. It was like, I don't want to learn all this new tech stuff. But once I sort of, it was like, so I think you have to be careful that you're not tricking yourself.
Well, that's exactly wonderful example, because that's a black or white decision you were making without really understanding.
Exactly.
Like, you can hand that piece over, like you said about an individual in their own business. Maybe someone needs to do your finances. Maybe someone needs to do your billing. Someone needs to do your website or whatever marketing. But you still, doesn't mean you don't want to do the business. It's just you want to use other talents.
It sounds like to me you're saying work smart. It's like do what you like, do what you do well, and then call in the other people.
Right.
There's people out there that may be more willing to do it than you.
And it just can give you time to do the things that you really want to do.
Oh, I love that idea. So what else do we need to know about that?
Well, once one understands the practical parts of what's missing, then you have that whole arena of the psychological and getting there and being able to do and to get organized and to set up goals that are around your values and put together daily actions for you to achieve them, and start small. So, you can have the best game plan, but if you don't have that oomph to do it and that schedule and structure.
One of my favorite sayings is that, okay, you've got the dream, this is what I really want, but every dream needs an Excel sheet. So you got to get it going now, It's like, okay.
Well, you got to break it down into small pieces.
Yes, don't overwhelm yourself. Because,
like, every day I'm going to do a little of this, I'm going to do a little of that, and strength builds upon strength.
Yes.
Action builds.
And then also time phase it. It doesn't all have to be done this at the end of the week, It's like, okay, this is what I'm, and what makes sense for you. And what I do, and I'm sure you do that also, is what I do. If I have a client who comes to me and they want transition, they want out, it's like, okay, well, are we at the Burger King stage where you're paycheck to paycheck, because we're going to have to get a plan going, or can, how can you financially do this? All of those aspects come into play. It's a big decision, but it could be, my thought is, a couple of years ago, I decided I'm old enough that I shouldn't be doing anything that's not fun. So it's like, what's the point? If I don't have fun now, what am I going to have?
Good point.
So it's like it's a lot of work, right? But it can be so rewarding.
Right. I mean, that understanding that you're taking on a task, it has to be meaningful. So you're in touch with the fact that fun is important to you. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, other things were more important.
Exactly.
And so if someone asks you to do something, you're going to make the choice based upon fun, because you have your checklist as to what your priorities are.
And that is my number one priority, fun, which is.
And are you having fun?
Yes, almost everything I do is fun now. It's like, and I try, and what a trick is, and I know you do this too, a trick is if it's not fun, how can we make it fun? It's like learning all this technical equipment. How can you make that fun? It's like, but we try.
Okay, so you use your talents in the best way.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, let's make this an accomplishment as opposed to something that you have to do.
Drudgery.
Yes, exactly. And I wish there was an article that said one word can change your life, and I went, oh, stop it. And I read it, and it's like, instead of saying I have to, say I get to. So it's like, it's
I get to?
Yeah, it's like, I have to learn this digital equipment. It's like, I get to learn this digital equipment. How about that? How cool is that? It's a game, but it works sometimes.
Well, we all need to play games.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you're doing, putting a positive spin rather than making it drudgery. It's like, okay, here's an opportunity.
Right. Problem, opportunity.
Yes.
Problem, opportunity.
The challenge and all that jazz.
Right.
So what you've got, you named a couple of cards.
Right.
Passion.
Right.
How does passion play into this?
Oh, passion.
Oh.
You know, but it can get a little tricky because sometimes people feel when you say that word, it gets them a bit nervous in the sense that that's pressure in itself. I have to find my passion. And if you don't know at first what that is, that can feel a little bit intimidating. So you have to start with, you know, what is it you like to do? What do you do well? And like prioritize that. But through that, people can expand upon and feel more comfortable with that word.
Well, look at how we were raised in America, and I don't know how it is now, to tell you the truth. I used to be in HR, but that was so many years ago. I couldn't tell you what's going on there. But it's like we were raised to like work really hard and get as far as you can, and then you get 2 weeks off and you can follow your passion. And so it's like passion is something that we almost put to the side. It's like, okay, first we take care of business, passion. But if you can find a way, which I know you help people do,
integrate it in your daily life. You have to have something you look forward to every day.
Yes. And I used to think, and obviously I was on the wrong path, but I used to get up and go, gosh, there must be people who get up and go, yay, I'm going to work. I wasn't one of those. I was like, yeah, I'm going to work.
It's a little bit more complicated. But you do need to have things you look forward to, and you want to connect with those parts of you that bring out the best of you.
Yeah, and then I think all those books out there, follow your passion, the money will follow, hopefully. And if not, figure it out. But it's sound advice. And then you have choice. It's like, okay, speak to us a little bit about choice.
I love the word choice because you're making a decision. Okay, and choice by it already says that you're choosing among things, so you don't feel like it's either this or that.
A or B, it's the whole spectrum.
Like last evening I was speaking with someone, and it was very comforting to know there were 4 choices, and to understand when you're feeling that way, you might not have much choice, but then when you can understand it a little bit more and realize you have 4 choices, it's Okay, I'll figure it out.
I have 3 other chances to screw up before I find the right choice. All right, I can do this. But no, choices, I like that because it's like sometimes we feel like it's yes or no. We have to go yes or no. Do I leave my job? Do I stay? You know, but it's not. There are options in between.
You hope you can create some more options.
You know, and what you said was like, okay, you might hate your job, but what can you do to make it more fun, even while you're waiting to get out of that?
You need to look at it as career and life planning, and anything you can do while you're making a transition to make your life better is the way to go, because you'll make a better decision.
Yeah, definitely. And persistence. We got a little tired when we talked about that, but okay, persistence. Where does that come in the scheme of everything?
Well, you have to believe in yourself enough to stick to things, and that's challenging for many. And
almost everybody.
And so you need to sandwich your project in between fun things. You need to relate your goal to something that's big, so it can keep you going. So it's not just, I'm going to call Sue Smith tomorrow to find out if she knows of any positions in XYZ.
And then done.
No, it's more of like, if I call her, I might have the opportunity to realize what I want to do.
Increase the network, or
to realize what I want to do in life. Make it big.
I like that, because I wish, and there isn't a card for it, and there may be one that, openness. It's like just open. There is an opportunities card. And it's just like, okay, you can't figure out everything that's out there, but be open to what comes your way. And I have a tendency, if anybody goes, can you do blah, 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 I go, yeah. I'll figure it out, sure. I say yes to almost everything. I was killing myself 2 years ago because I was exhausted. I was doing too much. But yeah, just be open to whatever's out there.
That's hard for a lot of people.
Yes.
Or to, before you say no, understand it more. That's a step in the right direction.
That's for the little bit more timid. I like that.
You know,
get more information.
Say like if someone asks you to do something, instead of automatically saying no, say, oh, what would that involve? What's it about? Get more information.
Or I saw a great acronym for no one. It's next opportunity. Next. No, that's not going to work. Next. I love that. No.
That's positive.
Yeah, definitely. It keeps turning it around. So, who's your ideal client?
Someone that's feels they need to make a change, they want to make a change, and they're ready to do some of the work, and in a state where they can. And they'll appreciate, the feedback, the objectivity, and they're able to look at their lives and step back and, as I said before, make some change.
Yeah, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want people that don't know what they're doing. But it sounds like anybody who has that little itch, it's like, whoa, something there should be more.
And some, unfortunately, it's more than an itch for a lot of people, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And wherever you are in the spectrum there, whether it's an itch or it feels more painful, it never hurts to step back, look at your situation, understand it more, and see what you can do about it.
And what's important is, I think, to look at it from a different perspective, and that's where a coach or a counselor or a consultant comes in. It's like, okay, because you have this thought and you've been collecting data to reinforce your thought, and this is evidence to you. But if someone else looks at it from another perspective, it's like, oh yeah, I didn't see that. I wasn't aware.
Right. With perspective comes objectivity. So,
yes.
if I didn't know you and you're telling me your story, I have a different point of view.
Yes.
As you like that word.
I love it, yes.
And that can be very refreshing.
Yeah. And that's sometimes what is needed. And I guess the hardest part would be when you're in the slump, realizing that you need help.
Right.
That's the hardest, and
Right.
I don't have any tricks for that. It's like because I don't go out and beat the bushes and go, you look like you need help.
Well, one of the things and I'd like to leave your listeners with and viewers is social support and stress. Social support is one of the greatest stress reducers. So if you can create a support system and a support network, it's easier.
Now, are you talking social media? I personally like
social
real live
support.
people.
No, I meant real life people. Social support.
Actual communication. That's so downplayed nowadays.
Social, whether it's friends, professionals, etc., mentors, coaches.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly given us a lot to think about, and a lot. Even if you're not in the slump, a reevaluation every now and then, it can hurt, and it's like you could be even having more fun. So I have to go home and say, how can I have more fun? But I'm so thrilled that you took time to come back on the show. I always get a bunch of tidbits from you that are so great. So I would recommend that you check out Lynn's website, which is at the bottom of the page, lynnberger.com. And Lynn, I will thank you so much for being a fantastic guest, as always.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.